The Poet's Perspective podcast is brought to you by Urban Grind Coffee House. What better way than to start your day by grabbing life by the beans? Coffee beans, that is. Visit urbangrindatlanta.com to get coffee delivered right to your doorstep, and be sure to use the discount code POETRY to save 15% on your next pound of coffee. And if you'd like to be a part of the culture and represent the eclectic vibe and positive energy that Urban Grind has to offer, you can choose from our selection of brand new Urban Grind apparel. And if you're in the Atlanta area, make sure you visit Urban Grind for their selection of specialty coffees, sandwiches, and pastries while you get your studying done, working on that $1 million idea, or just meeting up with friends. Urban Grind Coffee House. Keep grinding.
Yo, my brother, what's up?
Yo, King Soul, what's happening?
Everything is everything, my brother, man. You know I'm over here trying to live phenomenally.
Hey, man, that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. How's everything your way?
Oh, man, everything good, man. It was one of those weeks that tried to test every bit of my patience and character, but I achieved success. It can't bring me down, you know what I mean?
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Hey, man, that's what it's about, especially in times right now, because we're getting all kind of stuff thrown at us. So I get it, man. I get it. But yo, man, so for everybody that's tuned in with us, you with the Urban Grind Poetry Open Mic. I'm here with my feature. We got King Soul, straight from Tampa, Florida. So I was on this brother's platform a few weeks ago, had an awesome conversation. So I felt like it was only right that we, continue that conversation and bring it to the Urban Grind platform. So King Soul, man, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Most definitely. I'm King Soul, solo outcast, understanding life. It's been a minute since I did that, but that's who I am, King Soul. Poet, author, mentor, life coach, jack of so many trades. I can't tell you all of them right now because they'll case by case basis, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Florida born and raised, man. I fell in love with writing at a young age, and it just stuck with me ever since.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So King Soul, man, I feel like it's only right if you kick us off with a piece, set the tone for us a little bit.
Oh, I thought you would never ask, my brother.
For sure.
Hey, off top though, this piece I'm gonna do is a piece that I actually, got from you when you was on the Poetry Corner. You did your I am poem, and I was like, look, I'm gonna make my I am poem and I'll bring it to you. So now this is
dope.
Bringing it to you,
I appreciate that. That's dope, brother. That's dope.
Let's do this. I am miracle baby from the day that I was born. Heart stopped numerous times. Can only imagine how many pieces mama heart torn. I was born. Crying baby in hospital bed. Half body black, half body red. I am survivor. No, I am MacGyver. Taking pen and paper and building empire. I am fire. Spitting from the lips of a flamethrower. No, I am my story. Spitting from the lips of this flamethrower. I am purpose. Translated in pen written between lines of a notebook, safely tucked away from prying eyes of hope crooks. This how dope look. So let me ask you, how your hope look? I am motivator, educator, an uplifter of my people. I am the greatest when choosing between the lesser of two evils, but not evil. Don't jump. This ain't a stunt, Knievel. I am the gift of God. Pops did it first. I'm the sequel. I am nerves of steel. Within shaky ball of anxiety. Calm on stage, but watch me get off. Come try to say hi to me. Watch how fast I say bye to we. I mean this conversation we are having. Most times I walk away laughing. Like, one day I'm going to overcome this dumbness of thinking my words do not carry weight. I am weight. I am my greatest escape. But I am not my mistakes. I am the father of 3 young men. My whole purpose, put them in position to win. When it's all said and done, they won't know where my ring ends and your great grandsons begin. I am all of us win. When pen touches paper, I become poetry purveyor. I am pushing poets for profit, or are these poems pushing a profit? I just can't stop it. I am creator. All I have excuses. Walking around feeling useless. I'll use this. I pin my pain and let it go. And for my legacy, I am ruthless. I leave you Cactus Jack toothless or mankind or dude love. If you know, then you know. And I am. Whatever I say, I am. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be me. Thank you.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. King Soul, y'all. King Soul. I see the little fire emojis. I see they going crazy. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So King's, so
Building y'all,
King's.
y'all coming through. I had to do a quick shout out, man.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You good?
I wanted to shout out. Yeah, I appreciate you coming in. You get to see me on this side of the interview because you usually see me on the other side. But my brother set me up in this lovely situation, and I'm super excited about whatever about to happen right now.
Hey man, that's what's up. Appreciate you setting the tone with that piece, man. But yo, so you from Tampa, Florida, correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about the spoken word scene in Tampa, Florida right now. I mean, obviously, it's probably not, with the pandemic and all, it's probably not what it was. But generally, what's the lay of the land like as far as poetry goes down there?
As far as shows, it's not as many as it used to be, but it has opened up like a whole new avenue of creativity. You know what I mean? Like now people are forced in situations where they have to be creative, because we don't got a room full of people anymore. So now we have to take our art to the next level. So it's definitely like evolved our art for our like community as one. Like we came together a little bit more, creativity, like soared. Like there's videos out now, poets just spitting fire from their lungs and breath and everything. It's dope. Like it stopped the shows, but it increased the creativity, which I take any day out the week. If you know.
Got you. So in your piece, you mentioned your words holding weight.
Yeah.
When did you realize that your words hold weight?
Oh man, that truthfully took a minute. That took a minute, probably, because I started actually performing in like 2016. So probably about, I want to say like 2018, I really like got deep. Like I really took note of what my words, did. Like I was very soft spoken as a child. Like I was very quiet. I kept myself. I didn't speak. So in my mind growing up, I didn't think I needed to speak because I never did. You know what I mean? So I grew up thinking like, oh, my apologies. I got glossophobia, so I sweat a little bit.
Hey man, it's all good, man. That's what that poetry do sometimes. It start pouring out of you.
I be making the joke like it happened. You know what I mean? Glossophobia. Google it. Glossophobia. But so I grew up not really knowing, that my weight holds power. That what I say, people actually listen to. It wasn't until like I said, like my second year performing poetry that it really hit me. Because I started paying more attention to the interactions I had with people. You know what I mean? People would take my words, hold it, and regurgitate it like back at me in like some of the most inspirational ways. Like one thing I don't like, but I love when it happens, is a lot of my family members take my exact words and quotes and use it like right back on me. I can't be mad because it's like really, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like what they like, they be telling me about myself to myself and stuff like that. But yeah, it took about 2 years of actually performing to actually like grasp the idea that my words actually mean something.
Okay. And I understand that because I guess for me it's an ongoing journey for me. I mean, even to this day, like, you just go through periods like, damn, what am I doing? And then, you might perform or something and it really touches somebody and they let you know, you're like, okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing. It comes in waves for me. So I get it. So, but tell me about how you talked about not speaking a lot as a kid. So how do we get from there to now you speak as a vocation? How did the poetry journey begin for you?
First off, my auntie in the building. Shout out, love you, auntie. I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah,
Shout out, auntie. Yeah.
it started off as a weird road. My first thing I ever wrote was a diss song to some guy I never met, but he had a problem with my best friend, so he had a problem with me. You know what I mean? Like it was by association. So that's
Yeah.
when that's when I started writing. And once I started to realize like these things that I hold in, these things that I'm not saying to people, the things I feel like I can't talk to people, it comes out so much easier when pen touches paper. Like a 7th grade teacher who told me, who made us write only in every assignment in her class was in pen. She was a language arts teacher, so he did essays in pen. And I'll always, question like, why are we only in pen? Like, what if I mess up? So, well, you mess up in life, you can't just erase it. Sometimes you just gotta rub it and keep going. So that's sort of like what I grabbed as I was writing. I was like, all right. So as I'm writing and I'm saying something, I don't like it. Like, well, I can't erase it because I did say it. So I got that mindset of not erasing what I'm saying. First came to writing, like, because I couldn't erase it. I'm only using pen, so I can't erase it. I can only scribble it out. You know what I mean? Have a whole redacted poem and stuff. But and that's what I kept that mind. So as I grew in writing, I became like more and more confident. Now I'm still that shy kid in school, sitting at a lunch table by himself eating. Still that dude. Like that ain't changed. The poetry just makes me a little bit more comfortable and confident of who I am.
Yeah, and I think that's what it does. Like poetry. I guess for me, like it kind of forces me to have skills that I wouldn't necessarily have. Like for instance, like promoting myself. Normally, like without poetry, even if I created something, I would, I can create, but I'm not good necessarily. Like, here, you gotta buy this, you gotta buy this. But but being a poet and knowing you gotta put yourself out there if you want to be heard, or writing a book or something like that, or wanting the people to see it, you gotta have those things with you. You gotta interact with people. So, do you think poetry is synonymous with your growth as a man?
Oh yes. It. One thing I can say is poetry taught me. Like I learned life through poetry. At least
same here.
Like I was able to find like my strength, find my weaknesses, I find the overcoming of challenges in my writings. You know what I mean? Like something I'm going through, I put it down on paper, and then like once I put it down on paper, it's like, okay, I'm going through this right now. The fact that I put it down made it smaller than I thought it was going to be. Because when you see something, it's not. It kind of shrinks not shrinks. Basically, it's not as overbearing when you see
it. It makes it real. It makes it real.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it real. So with poetry, it pretty much shaped who I am. I was able to write. I wrote my whole personality to this day. Like my personality, I tell people all the time, if you want to know who I am, just listen to my poetry. That's my poetry is like my secret book.
Okay. Is there any, actually, before we get there, what poets inspired you? Were there any poets or what inspired your poetry? Let me say that.
There was 2 poets that I like, and they're spoken word poets. Well, they poets is poets.
Yeah.
Prentice Powell and Black Ice.
Both cold, both heavy hitters.
Man, and that was like the transition for me when it came to like to writing. Because when I like first started writing, I first got into writing, I messed around and came across Black Ice on YouTube when it was doing Def Poetry Jam.
Poetry Jam, yeah.
I sat there, like when I first seen him, I studied. I'm like, I don't know who this dude is, but everything comes out his mouth is fire. Like everything that come out his mouth is fire. So that kind of steered me into writing. It showed me, what I can do with the writings. Like it let me know I can put this stuff down somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't hold it no more. I don't have to carry this heavy burden of shame or regret or whatever the case may be at that moment. I don't have to, You know, I put it down. Like that's what I seen with Black Ice. Prentice Powell came around a few years later or so, and that's what that he was one of the ones that got me into performing.
So did you see him? Was the first piece that you saw from him? Was it that one where he's talking about the system? It was like on Arsenio Hall. Was that the one?
Yes.
Cold.
Yes, he got that. I seen the system, and then probably a few weeks after I seen the system, I seen this father poem that he did, and it hit me in like the deepest part of my heart.
I
And
seen
like
that one too. Yeah.
it was at that moment I was like, I got to do this. Like I have to do this because watching him be that vulnerable and transparent made me want to be that vulnerable and transparent. You know, scariest thing I ever thought I would be doing. Scariest thing for me is standing up in front of people and talking. Scariest. But the moment where I can take these words, like I learned how to put them down. Now I'm seeing where I can take these words. Oh, it was on. That was it.
So when you first started writing, were you writing with the intention like I'm gonna perform this, or was it first like let me just write this poetry and see what happens?
I mean, when I first started, I started writing when I was about 15 or 16, and at that time, I was like, I was a rapper slash, I was pushing poems for profit. Like I was selling poems. Like people hey, write something for me. You know, that whole trying to be the plug on the poems.
Yeah, got you.
That, when I first started writing, it was more just like getting it out. I think it was, I got married, and like after my marriage, I really started like sitting down and assessing. Like I got back on writing, took a little hiatus, life and whatnot. When I got back to writing, it was like riding a bike. Like, and at that moment, I wanted to be intentful with what I wrote. You know, I wanted to say something to myself, and that's where it all started. Like I needed to say something to myself, and that's where like the first set of poems that like sent me into action was I need to say this to myself, because I don't know who around me is willing to say this to me. You know what I mean? Like poetry, you got to be real honest with
you. Got to
be real. So it's like I don't know how many people gonna be dishonest, and if I can't be honest with myself, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing about poetry. Well, that's one of the reasons I love poetry. Like you got to be real, man. Like you can't hide behind a beat. You know what I'm saying? You can't hide behind nothing, man. You got to bare your soul, and if you don't, people gonna feel it anyway. If you're not being honest with yourself, and that's one of the things about poetry, man. Like just going through the process of writing it, you discover so much about yourself. So just as much as you might be spitting a piece to the crowd and they love it, they don't know how much is liberating for your own soul as well.
Yes, man. I think that's the best thing about it, that liberation, like that release of weight. You know what I mean? Like I think of this day, like I write it, I spit it, I let it go. Like whatever
Right.
that, I write it, I spit it, and then I let it go. Once I let it go, it's no longer that much of a problem. There's some situations that you write about a couple times, but it's not as big as it once. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And that's golly, man. That's the awesome thing about it. Like honing in on like maybe one part of a situation. Like it might not be your whole relationship. It might be one aspect of it that's just bothering you. And the fact that you can analyze it, get it down on paper, man. Oh man, I can talk about how much I love poetry all day. But yo, earlier you made a distinction between spoken word and poetry. Is there a difference to you?
Yes. Unpopular answer, yes. Almost anybody can be a poet. Not everybody can be a spoken word artist.
Elaborate on that.
As far as poetry, I view, my personal opinion, poetry more of just the writing aspect, like writing the stanzas, writing the words, writing the sound, you're writing the poetry, the poems themselves. That's the poetry aspect of it. being a spoken word artist is a completely different skill. You know what I mean? Like it's something you have to work on separate from writing, which makes
Absolutely
a separate, because if you you have to work on your performance outside of writing, it becomes its own separate skill. Like if you was doing them in tandem all the time, maybe you could say, but usually when you're performing, find different ways to heighten your performance, different workshops, different videos, different studies, practices to enhance your performance ability, which is completely separate from the poem, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of those things don't necessarily have poetry related. It's just performance related, but you have to have that performance. Like you have to be willing to either bare your soul and be transparent, or really be good at acting and know how to get it out like that. But you can not, it's not for everyone, and that's okay. It's
right.
We all got our rules.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your process from the page to the stage, from getting something down on paper to performing it? What's your process look like?
It's a weird process. It's a weird process because my process is like I got like a three step process. Like it's 3 different steps to lead to the stage.
Okay, so this is very methodical, I see.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But so the first one is finding the idea, finding the concept, and honing in on that concept. Then sitting down and like just begin writing. Like that's just like the straight into writing. Think of an idea and just straight writing. And that's
So is this when you say just writing, is this a poem at this point, or is it just like thoughts?
At first it's just thoughts.
Okay.
At first the writing is a poem. Like when it first come out as writing, it's a poem. Like when I first, that's one that leads to stage. I write that, get that out of the way. Second is I write it in my head. Like I write the whole poem in my head, and that one is mostly based off just random thoughts that I'm sort of formulating into a poem as they come. So I tell the best way I can explain it. I tell people is like I'm sitting there downloading a poem from out of nowhere, like falling into place, and it's just like a download. Like I'm getting an update or something, and like now I got this poem that I can share with the world. So that's like the second one. The third one, usually I find scattered pieces all over the place. It's that whole I think of this idea, I'll write it down. I think of this idea, I'll write it down. I'll write it down. Then I get 30 sheets of paper, put them in front, and start piecing Frankenstein and a poem together. But it always comes out exactly how it's supposed to, because like you might have the poem already ready, but the thought comes at different times based off what you experience. Because sometimes your poems are like multi-layered with multi-experience, like a whole bunch of different experiences. So it's not always sit there and write it in that whole one time. Sometimes you gotta go through a couple different things to write one poem.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you sit down to write, do you already have the idea, or is it like sitting down? Okay, let me think of something.
Usually when I'm sitting down to write, it's more of a practice. Like sitting down writing is more like the practice. So I'm coming up with an idea as I'm going. You know what I mean? Like I try to figure it out. But if I don't, then I'm just throwing some pieces together. The ones that I really use the most is like download in the scattered pieces. I don't know why, but I like a little chaos in my life. So I like a challenge. I love a challenge. So doing things that challenge myself, like trying to write and memorize a poem at the exact same time, to challenge, and I love it. It's time consuming and mentally draining at times, but I love it because it's a challenge. Like I know how to sit down and write a poem, and I do that still, but I love to take it to the next level. Let me see if I can write this poem in my head and memorize it. Let me see if I can write 30 different words around the room, walk around and try to find a poem out. Try to make a little chaos in the process.
Yeah, that's tight. That's tight. So how do you decide which one's the scrap or which one's okay, let me take this to the stage and see what the people feel about it?
That is that's a good question.
Or is it just a feeling? Because I know that's kind of how it is for me. It's just like some of them just feel right, and I'm like, okay, I
Yeah,
know I got to perform this. But some of them I know they just look better on paper, and I'm
yeah,
like, okay, I don't really got to spit this.
yeah. No, I mean that it's a similar process. Like, there are some that like as soon as you put it down, he's like, yeah, I'm finna put this on stage like right now. I'm probably finna record it. Like you already ready to
Yeah,
put this,
yeah,
already working on how you about to perform it. Like you know this about to perform it.
right.
Um, I for me, it's how how much weight is lifted off of me.
Mm,
How much I'm letting go from it. You know what I mean? Because I do this so I can let these things. I do this so I can be honest and transparent. So there are some poems that are extremely transparent, and you're probably only gonna get it in the book sometime later in the future. But I try to get up there and spit it because most times when I do that, I find people understand. Like people relate. Like you think you're the only one going through something until you spit something that somebody was going through 5 minutes before you started going through it. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like I do this so I can be honest and transparent. So there are some poems that are extremely transparent, and you're probably only gonna get it in the book sometime later in the future. But I try to get up there and spit it because most times when I do that, I find people understand. Like people relate. Like you think you're the only one going through something until you spit something that somebody was going through 5 minutes before you started going through it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, and that's what it's like. I need you to know if you're going through this, you're gonna be all right too. Like I'm good. You know what I mean? Like it makes
Yeah.
it easy to let it go. Like perfect example, I got a poem called Glossophobia about glossophobia, which is the fear of public speaking. Um, it used to always scare me. It scared me. I was scared to talk to people. Just walking up, talking to you one on one was just one of the scariest things in my life. I did not want to do it.
Wow.
But once I did that poem, it released so much stuff off of me. And every time I do it for someone, they get an understanding and they approach me different, which it helps me because it gives me that confidence and let you know, like, hey, if you see me and I'm sweating profusely, I'm not lying to you. It's glossophobia. Like it's a real thing. So
Wow.
it makes it a little easier. So I try to base it off what I need to get off myself and what now that's pretty much it. What I can get off myself. I love doing poetry because I love releasing myself, my love, my transparency.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any topics in your life that for you are off limits to talk about? Or is
Oh
everything up for grabs?
yeah, everything. That's the thing. Like I'm an open book when it comes to my poetry. Now, if you just walk up and ask me a question about my life, you might not get a solid answer. But when it comes to my poetry, I put everything in it. Like I don't hold anything back. I put everything in it. All my ups, downs, my happiest moments, the moments I look back on like I shouldn't did that. Like I put it all in. Because I believe when my time comes, my writings will be my legacy. Like it will
Mm.
be what I can leave to my kids, their kids, and like even if my great 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 grandkids never meet me, they know who I am based off what I wrote. Like we as writers, we write history. That is our
Absolutely.
duty as writers is to write history. So every time you write, you're writing something that should live on way past yourself. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do. We translate history. It could be our history. It could be the history of our people. Somebody knows, complete stranger. But that's what we're writing history.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's crazy, man. Sometimes I feel like inside of a poem, I feel like a master communicator. Like I could say anything. I feel like a superhero inside of a poem. But then sometimes like just trying to express myself to my wife is like, what do I say?
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I feel like a superhero inside of a poem, but like sometimes just communicating feels like the hardest thing,
Yeah.
which is crazy, man. Which is crazy.
That's the thing. Like this for me, like I said, it was the easiest way for me to communicate. Like even to this day, it's the easiest way for me to communicate. Like if I like for future, like if I go on a date, we probably only gonna pass notes the whole time. Like we gonna pass notes the whole time. Like we just gonna pass.
That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. But yo, you mentioned you had kids, right?
Yes, sir.
You got three kids.
Yeah, three boys.
How do thinking about them? How do they impact your poetry, or
Um,
just the way you think about poetry?
they they are a huge chunk of my poetry.
Mm,
A good amount of my poetry, not all of it, but a good amount of my poetry speaks directly to fatherhood. Speaks directly to my boys, and everything I want to do and leave them. Um, to be honest, if I did not have them, I probably would not take it as seriously as I take it.
mm,
It would, because it would be another in my mind. Prior to like my thinking, prior to having kids, it would have been just another hobby, another skill that I can master, move on to the next skill. Um, but knowing what knowing what it did for me, knowing what I have the ability to leave behind for them, outside of monetary, because that's gonna come in due time. Me and my boys gonna be straight. Um, but knowing that I can leave my legacy with them. Every album I make, every shirt I make,
mm,
everything that I do is inspired by knowing that they are going to benefit from it. You know what I mean? Like they're going to
mm.
benefit from what I do. You know what I mean? Like I start showing them videos on like YouTube because I got like a couple poems on YouTube, and they don't really care about it right now. I know they love it. They be
Yeah.
acting, they be faking it. I know they love it.
Have they seen you perform in person yet?
They seen me perform one time. It
Okay.
it 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 was it was a strange performance. I didn't really get to perform the way I would like to perform.
Hmm.
Poet and daddy at the same time, and
Yeah.
that takes over, in situations like that. So they did get to see me perform, and it was like the first time. One of my boys went to sleep. The other one was like making funny faces because he was trying to figure out why daddy was on stage and everybody was clapping and stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. But so how would you what would you say your style is? Are you more like a slam poet, or would you prefer like just doing sets? Or how would you describe your style as far as the performance aspect of it?
yeah, I'm more of a set poet. I'm more of a set poet. I try slam, and I'm going to continue trying slam because I love it. I'm competitive. I love the um, but I'm more of a set poem. I love taking people on a journey. Like I want to take you on. I'm like a storyteller. I want to take you on a story. You know what I mean? Like so, in between sets, you'll get poems as well as like little fun facts, tidbits. But the whole time, you're gonna travel with me. Like by the end of this, you're gonna be like you felt like you left the room, but you ain't leave nowhere. Like, I want to take.
Oh,
That's how I do it. Like I want to set it up, take you on the journey, and then dip out.
yeah, yeah. Do the platforms that you have, like the open mics that you guys have down in Tampa, do they allow for that, or what's usually like the format? Is it like people just get up and do a piece, or what's it like down there?
It's usually open. They have a couple open mics where they will do an open mic and they still bring down the few just for that same open mic as that atmosphere. So um but mostly just open mic. Come in there, sign your name on the list, and
Okay,
start.
okay. What did some of the closest people around you, what they have to say when they found out that you did spoken word?
uh they didn't quite believe it. Not because they just a good fair amount did thought poetry were more or less like the Shakespearean,
Yeah.
they show you in school, like the our art thou fart,
Yeah.
come down and stuff like that. So when I actually started doing it, there was like surprise. Now, I was a rapper prior too, so
Mm-hmm.
it was like a huge shift from rap and poetry. Rap I enjoyed because it was entertaining. I had fun.
Okay.
But when it came to the poetry, I was able to pull layers of myself that I didn't know was even there, which like surprised people because I went from not even when I was rapping, I still like really shy. So I would have been a terrible
Wow.
rapper. Like you
So,
really got
okay, so let me ask you this. What was the difference for you between writing raps and writing poetry? Or writing poems, I should say.
When it came to rap,
was it a difference?
yeah, it was a huge difference.
Wow.
When it
Okay.
came to rap, I had to make it catchy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to catch it. I had a melody, a specific cadence that I had to do it was too many nuances for me. It was too many rules. I didn't like I can't, I only make 16 lines, but I got 24 part. You know what I mean? Like I want to break this up. Like it all go together,
Yeah.
So I found myself having to water down my writing, at least early on, because I was still learning to write. But I had to water down a lot of my old raps because I love words. So I want to put words in it. I want to play around with words.
Absolutely.
So when I got to poetry, two things happened for me. One, I got to express myself and like really dig. 'Cause poetry made me dig and really like
Got
look.
you.
You
Yeah,
gotta
you gotta
look.
go deep. You gotta go deep.
That was the first thing. The second thing, the first time I ever performed a poem, I stood up on stage and the room was completely quiet. And for the first time in my life, I was going to speak in a room full of people with no other noise. And it was like, it was petrified. But the moment the word left my lips, it was like a rush. Like I got that fix. Like they immediately got that fix. Like rap was good, but y'all get sang along with me. In this platform, y'all gotta be quiet and listen. And that was like at that moment, it's like it hit because I wasn't talking. So now I'm in the position where people actually want to hear what I gotta say. Now people can't shut me up. Like you cannot shut me up now. Like I'm gonna talk.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Yeah, I remember that exact same feeling, man, when I was on stage for the first time. The only difference for me is I completely forgot my poem, and it was like the most embarrassing situation. But 6, 7 years later, here we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still, even though my poem was shit, I still got that rush. So here we are, man. So I get it, man. That feeling of feeling empowered, especially if you come from like not putting your voice out there, like not speaking your truth or not speaking up a lot of times when maybe you thought you should, man. It can be so powerful, bro.
Definitely, and that's exactly where it was at. So that's what the writing poetry did for me. The rap allowed me to have fun, but poetry allowed me to learn myself. Once I started poetry, it was like, okay, I have to stay within 16 bars. I don't have to make it go with this beat. I don't have to, switch up. I don't have to play around. Like, what do you want to say? Say it. You know what I mean? Like you don't need the extra stuff. You don't need the ad libs. You don't need the music. You don't need the man in the back playing or something. Like this is poetry is you. It's nothing else. Like you can throw some music in there if you want to, but more times than not, you're standing on the stage with no sound, just your voice.
You better say something. You better say something.
So that's what it did for me. Like it's you be you in this space right now. So
and that's another thing I love about poetry, man. Most people think, and you spoke on this, like people think it's like Shakespeare, like where art thou, or people think you should talk like this, or you can do this, and it's just poetry and it's all love. But then they see you spit, and you spit something hard, something they can feel. You know what I'm saying? It just blows people's mind, like the misconception that they have when
Yeah,
they hear poetry. Man, I love just changing people's mindset about that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. I,
Yeah.
I, I love that. I love that. I love, I love going to a poetry spot, and it's probably just, but I love going to a poetry spot completely unknown, and then getting up there and shutting the place down and walking off stage. I love doing that. I don't know why.
Man, it's an awesome feeling. That's why.
It's like y'all don't even know me. I love y'all too. Like it's love.
Exactly, man. And just to know, like, you can make people feel with your words.
Yes.
You can make people feel something
Yes.
just from some stuff that you wrote on a piece of paper.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
powerful, man. That's powerful.
Yes. That's why, man. You got everybody needs to respect this art form, man. This is one of the most beautiful art forms out there, man. We have to respect this. We have to respect this.
So, do you think, in your opinion, do you think poetry is respected as much as rappers, as much as vocalists? Do you think poetry is respected as much as art forms? Why not? Why don't you think so?
It's not. It's not. It might be as respected, but it's not as appreciated. We do not.
Mm,
We don't get the same the recognition. We don't get the same the pay. Like we don't get the same as if what we do is not as important or not as skillful. Because again, we just had the thing like to be a spoken word artist is a skill.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Brandon just won everything off this skill. You know what I mean? Like they just wake up out of bed one morning and win America's Got Talent. Nah, this is a skill.
It's a skill,
We paid
absolutely.
for this. This is what we do. So I don't we definitely don't get the appreciation we deserve. Um because it's such a finicky genre. Not everybody even know what it is. You know what I mean? They got some people who again still think poetry is Shakespearean, and then we got other people who think poetry is only deaf poetry jam. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's a whole there's a so much this is so disconnected on what we know poetry to be as the poetry community
Yeah.
that I mean we're getting the recognition we deserve, but for so long we wasn't. The people did not
Yeah.
really everything. They put us in all their songs, all they see albums, they movies. Poetry was everywhere, but
Everywhere.
they was not paying the poet.
Right, right. But I think I'm seeing that changing though. Like you mentioned, Brandon, who won America's Got Talent, and then just at the inauguration, I thought that was huge when the young lady Amanda Gorman, I believe her name is, spit a piece. I ain't seen no rappers up there. I ain't seen no comedians. I
No,
seen a poet on the world's biggest stage. That was huge.
because they know who to call when they want to shut some shit down. That's
Fact.
my thing. Y'all know who you want to call. Like when the pandemic was happening, like when it was like at the height last year, poetry was everywhere, everywhere. Like videos of police brutality had poetry, marches had poetry, the pandemic had a poem about it. Like poetry, we was all over the place with poetry.
Facts.
Like you could not see who we was. We was everywhere with it. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like, and that's
Facts.
it's time. Like at this moment, it's time.
It's
This
time, man. It's
just
definitely time.
let everybody know after tonight the price go up. After tonight, the
For
price go up.
sure. For sure. For sure. That's facts. That's facts. So man, King Soul, man, I could talk to you all night, man. But yo, tell me this. If
What's up?
there's one message that you would want people to get from your poetry, if they don't get nothing else from it but this one message, what would you want that one message to be?
Oh, ah, I would say write to your better self. Like write your better self. Um, don't just write. Like write with purpose. Write to make yourself like Wake up every day to be better. Every time you write, make it better. Make yourself better with your writing. If you're feeling down, write yourself a poem of encouragement. Either way, write to make yourself better first. You can change the world later, but you have to change yourself. You have to work on yourself first. So write to make yourself a better person. That's the only thing I got for you.
For sure. Hey, man, I feel that. King Soul, man, I appreciate your words, man. I appreciate your energy. You know what I'm saying? When all this is over and we can move around a little bit more, I'm gonna have to get down there to Tampa. You're gonna have to come up here to the A, and we're gonna have to chop it up and move it around a little bit.
Yeah, man, I've been plotting the ATL visit for a minute. I ain't got the date yet, but I'm definitely gonna shoot it to you once I get it.
Hey, man, poetry community is real strong down here, so you'll appreciate it, man. We definitely got something to offer. So yo, man, King Soul, man, tell the people where they can find you. Anything else you got going on? Just some final words for the people, if you will.
Perfect. Again, I am King Soul, solo outcast, understanding life. You can find me on IG at _King Soul, Facebook at my government name, Kelvin Dupree Jr. Shirts. If no one told you today, you're dope. Out, available now. Link in my bio on my Instagram page. Book Father Son Chronicles, got that out. Bio. Letters to Introspection, new EP just dropped. Go check that. All this in the link in my bio. So if you follow me at _King Soul, you get access to all these wonderful things and much, much more. I do a weekly poetry show called the Poetry Corner, which we are hosting our first open mic Tuesday, January 26th. Tap in, come in, be out, perform. I don't know how long I'm gonna be there, but I'm telling you to get in early because after tonight, the price go up, man. That's what it's at.
That's what's up.
I appreciate you having me, brother, man. I appreciate you taking your time out, man. I appreciate this platform. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, man. I love my family, man. You know your tribe got your back when you see them follow you where you go and stuff.
Yeah, that's tight, man. That's a good feeling. That's how you know you're on the right track. That's how you know you're doing something.
Yes, sir.
Hey, yes, man, sir. King Soul, man. Appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you coming on, bro. We'll chop it up again soon, bro.
Yes, sir, man. Let's stay connected.
You already know. Peace.
Peace.